graduated in 1993 before any of you were born, which is really, really crazy and makes me feel old. Mrs. Wright she said health teacher, but I think of it as sex ed. So I really think you taught me everything I know about sexual education. In fact, the only reason I really came back is I still have some more questions. But we'll talk about that after the assembly. Absolutely no different than any of you. I grew up in South Orange. I went to South Orange Middle School. I came here at the same time as Lauryn Hill, who was also inducted into the Hall of Fame. Lauryn Hill and I were the two actors who were going into New York City to audition for things. I knew at a very young age I wanted to be an actor. And Lauryn Hill and I would commute into the city and audition for roles, not the same roles. Lauryn was on a soap opera and for a while, and then she got Sister Act 2. I couldn't get a job to save my life. No one would hire me. And I remember when I finally got into Northwestern, when I graduated, thankfully Northwestern, I was walking down the street and I saw Lauryn's and the Fugees, and I did a double take because the Fugees had just blown up and they were everywhere, and I was like, oh my God, it's Lauryn. And I saw an interview where she was like, yeah, keep it real in Newark. And I was like, Lauryn, you were keeping it real in Maplewood. You were our prom queen. I know. But she's amazing, and but Lauryn had a lot of success early on, whereas I didn't. No matter what I did auditioning, I started at 13 years old auditioning for things. I would take the train into the city. It didn't go as fast as it does now. You guys know it goes like 25 minutes to Manhattan now. Sometimes I'd go in the snow, in the rain, in the cold weather. I'd commute in. I'd go in, I'd wait in a half-hour line to audition. I was like 13, 14 years old, going alone. They'd go, thank you. I'd walk out, I'd do the whole thing home. And it was very, very, very humbling. But it was kind of a good education early on in being unstoppable. Is something I got very used to. I want to read you something that I stumbled across that I thought was apropos. He failed in business in 31. He was defeated for state legislature in 32. He tried another business in 33. It failed. His fiancée died in 35. He had a nervous breakdown in 36. In 43, he ran for Congress and was defeated. He tried again in 48 and was defeated again. He tried running for the Senate in 55. He lost. The next year, he ran for vice president and lost. In 59, he ran for the Senate again and was defeated. And finally, in 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected the 16th President of the United States. The difference between history's boldest accomplishments and its most staggering failures is often simply the diligent will to persevere. And that's really my biggest secret, is that you can't fail if you don't give up. I started auditioning, I went to Northwestern, I graduated, I wanted to be a filmmaker, I wanted to be an actor. I came here and I was working on as a production assistant on music videos. This was back in the day, 97, where music videos were huge. I mean, we had MTV really played music videos. You guys don't remember that, but before whatever the hell it is they do now, they used to show music videos. And so I was a production assistant on these videos. It was very, very hard work. We have to lug all the gear. I remember I worked on a Mariah Carey video called Up on the Roof. And the whole thing was shot on a roof in Brooklyn, and we had to lug all this gear up all night long, up to the top of this roof. It was so heavy, all the gear, tables, film equipment, up on to shoot so she could make her song Up on the Roof. I remember turning to my fellow PA and saying, I hope her next song is called In the Lobby. Thank you. But it was a lot of work, and simultaneously I was auditioning. No one would hire me. Nothing happening. Finally, I got a little small movie called The Broken Hearts Club. I was out in Los Angeles. The movie didn't pay me any money. I was out in Los Angeles waiting tables, And I remember the film I was in was at a movie theater, and a little small movie theater, but I had no money, I had $1 to my name. And people would go see the movie, and then they'd come to the restaurant where I was a waiter for dessert. And they'd do sort of a double take. They said, we just saw your movie. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And they said, you were really good. And I said, oh, thank you. Well, let me tell you about our specials. Only in Hollywood can you go see a movie and then have one of the stars of the movie wait on you for dessert. But it was humbling. Again, not getting any work, waiting tables, working as a production assistant, doing all these things. My first audition for Scrubs was here in New York, and it didn't go well at all. I didn't get a call back. It was so bad, they told me that they didn't even really send the tape out to LA. I just didn't get it. I probably wasn't prepared. I probably had gone out in New York City the night before. In fact, I had, extensively. And so when I got back to Los Angeles, I realized my agent said, look, go in again. You know, it was so bad and they didn't see it, so go in again. I auditioned 6 times for Scrubs. Each time going back and back and back and back and back. And then, and finally I got it. And it was the culmination of something that had been in the works since I was 13 years old, finally getting this major role. But I had my eye on the prize. I was like, okay, that's step 1. I want to make a movie. I want to make this movie about the town I grew up in, Maplewood in South Orange, New Jersey, and I'm going to call it Garden State. Thank you. There's a shot of, if you haven't seen the movie, there's a shot of your high school in it. You should see the movie. It should be required, I think, if it's still the movie. Again, I took out my script, Garden State. Every single person passed on it. No one wanted to make Garden State. There's not a person in Hollywood who has a desk and a phone who didn't say no, they had no interest in making Garden State. But I just kept going. I was like, okay, what's next? Who's next? Who's next? Finally, I met a guy who wasn't even in the film business. And he said, you know, I don't know anything about making movies. He had a lot of money, and he was my sugar daddy. The budget for the film initially was $6 million, and the idea was he was going to split it with someone. And he said to me, he said, look, I don't know anything about the film industry. The business seems really bizarre to me. If there's any way you can make this movie for $3 million, I'll just pay for the whole thing myself. And I said, give me a moment. And we went back and reworked the entire thing to make it affordable for what turned out to be $2.5 million. And the movie, domestically at least, has gone on to gross over $30 million and became a ginormous success, preceded by not a single person that I ever ran into in Hollywood who wanted to make it. The soundtrack, when I made the soundtrack, everyone told me, you're never going to get those artists. Why are you wasting your time? You have a little tiny movie. Nobody's going to say yes. You have no money to pay them. They're big, famous artists. I said, I don't care. I'm going to find a way. I just didn't take no for an answer. I got every single person on that soundtrack to say yes. It won a Grammy, I won a Grammy, and it went platinum for selling over 1 million copies. So I guess that's what I want to say to you. If you take anything from what I'm saying, is that what I like to say is no is just a comma on the way to yes. You know, throughout your life, you're going to get so much rejection, no matter what you're doing. I'm in the arts, but whatever you're sitting in this room thinking that you want to do with your life, or might want to do with your life, or the college you want to go to, or the business idea you have, or any aspiration you have, when are you going to get stopped? How many no's does it take for you to give up? For me, the answer is there's an infinite number. I'll just keep going. The only person who can stop you is yourself. You can get in your head and you can tell yourself, I'm not good enough. But in these moments, that's when it matters most. You know, we can all be sort of arrogant and confident when things are going well, but it's really about how are you when things aren't going well, when you're down. And that just leads me to my next point that I just want to talk about briefly, and that is something I wish someone had told me at your age. To take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for all your actions. I really wish I really figured that out at a younger age. Take responsibility for your actions. Only you can control you. We all have our obstacles we want to overcome, but your success out there in the real world is all about the choices that you make. Did you go out big like I did stupidly the night before that big interview? Did you choose to get in a car when someone was drinking and driving? Did you choose to have unprotected sex and have a kid at 16 years old? Oh yeah, he went there. Mrs. Rice going, Throughout your life, I wrote this part down because I really wanted to nail it home. Throughout your life, you will make good and bad choices. That's part of being human. You're gonna have days where you're so proud of yourself and that you did the right thing, and then you're gonna have days when you just want to curl up in a ball with regret for something stupid you did. But be clear with yourself. All of this is in your hands. It's not your parents, or your teachers, or your friends, or your brothers, or your sisters, or your boyfriend, or your girlfriend. Every choice that you make is your choice. Take responsibility for the good ones and the bad ones, and you'll be in complete control of your life. And the last thing I want to say is be kind. Life is very, very fast, and especially for your generation, this social media thing, which you guys have known your whole lives, but is new for old people like me. I see so much cruelty on the internet. I know you do too. We call it trolling, we call it just being an ass. But I hope that you take one thing from this. Be kind. There's absolutely no reason, ever, for you to be cruel to another human being. If you learn nothing else from what I said today, learn this. What goes around comes around. What you put out, I promise you, comes back. Be kind, be a good friend, thank people, thank your teachers. Be a good person, and that is what you will see in your life. Be loved, be grateful. I am grateful. Thank you very much.